Hello everyone, my name is Meghan LeVota and I offer wisdom, tools, and support for personality integration. And today I'm going to be giving a love letter to the INTP personality type. Now I'm continuing on this series where basically I'm just going to be talking candidly about what I love about this personality type. No, I did not write this letter out ahead of time, but as an ENFJ myself, it is pretty easy for me to just come up with compliments and just keep laying them on you. So if you're an INTP, this video is for you. So if you're new to personality type in general, let's just talk a little bit about the INTP and who they are. The INTP's dominant function is introverted thinking, which is a function that really seeks truth, is a critical thinker, and they're constantly refining the logic and their principles and analyzing everything that they come across. And so one of my favorite things about INTPs is the way that they constantly refine everything. And to me, that is beautiful because, it's like everything they touch, it's like they wield their sword. And for the faint of heart, it might be very triggering or emotional, or you might just, I don't know, like INTPs can be kind of harsh if they really, really believe what it is like that what they think, because INTPs are very passionate, and I feel like that's not often talked about. When you look at the general INTP description, you might think that because they are a thinker rather than a feeler, that they are super detached, which they can be, but with that intuition over sensing, INTPs are the type of people that are willing to open their mind to ideas that might not be proven or ideas that might not have been thought of before. And so it's like you combine that rational aspect to them with this open-mindedness and this childlike wonder, and you get a sort of person that has honestly a lot of contradictories despite making a lot of sense to themselves, where you have this sort of person that does want to know the truth and does want to always be refining their opinions so that they're closer and closer to knowing what is accurate, but also being aware. Most of them tend to be aware that they never are truly going to know, and they're never really going to be firm with their opinions. So unlike ISTPs, who have extroverted sensing as their auxiliary function, ISTPs are a lot more practical and down to earth. And ISTPs are a lot more of what you see is what you get. And in their pursuit of truth, they do not want to disregard reality whatsoever. And INTPs are more likely to ask the question, what even is reality? How do we even know what reality is? Is my reality the same reality as yours? Can I form my own sense of truth that is completely detached or different than, this other reality? And can I accept your reality in alignment with mine? Or can we make that work? Can we not? So INTPs ask these really big questions, and they are, I would describe them as always being on some sort of philosophical quest. And they are like these pioneers trying to, fight for, their own sense of peace and reality. And I guess maybe it's because for me, my dominant function is extroverted feeling. And INTPs have extroverted feeling as their inferior function. So this can be a point of contention between me and INTPs, but whenever we are on the same page and whenever I'm able to interact with my inferior TI, and whenever INTPs are aware of their inferior FE and want to belong and want to give back to society, there is this sort of alchemy or synergy that can happen between me and INTPs, where we both share the auxiliary intuition, and we both have very unique perspectives, and INTPs can help me refine my own perspective and stand true in who I really am and what I really think in a way that still is not denying my nature as an FE Dom. Because no matter what, like, the truth of me is that I am a very open heart, like heart on my sleeve, sort of like passionate person with my extroverted feeling. And I feel like INTPs have this passion as well, but it only comes out with their like curiosity and like trying to find the truth of something. And so for INTPs, you might not see the passion right on their face when you first meet them, but if you get them talking about what it is that they love, they just bubble up with excitement. And I love listening to INTPs like geek out about what it is that they're passionate about, because they tend to be like experts in, you know, whatever subject that they have devoted their time to, or whatever skill that they have crafted. Because the dominant introverted thinking, it really wants to hone their skills and also not just know the basic facts of what it is that they're interested in. They want to know how it all connects, and they want to know how their identity all connects. And so they can be very strong individuals, because for them as IPs, with their dominant function being an introverted judging function, that means that they lead with an identity function. So their identity is leading the way, so they could be these trailblazers and pioneers for new ideas that, like I said, as intuitives, they're the ideas that you may not have heard of before. And they are able to stand tall in what it is that they think and withstand any sort of, you know, disagreement or drama that could ever happen, because they ultimately will stand for the truth no matter what. And so I really admire that about INTPs, because it can be difficult to stand up against a large group of people that believes that you have an unpopular opinion. And I've found that the more you dive into your opinions and the more you reflect on your philosophy and how your identity interacts with like your opinions, the more you ruminate on that, then the more you're going to discover the unpopular opinions that you do have. So I just want to say INTPs are not being like argumentative assholes just for funsies. Like, INTPs have thought a lot about what they think. The more you think about it, it's really hard to shake something that is super aligned with your identity. And if you are an INTP watching this, it's just reminder that not everybody is as self-assured in their opinions as you are. While INTPs might find it fascinating to have their little battles of the wits and seek the truth together, not everybody is going to feel super confident doing that. I think of it as like playfully sword fighting. In the tarot, there's 4 suits. There's swords, pentacles, cups, and wands. It's the 4 Jungian functions of feeling, thinking, sensing, and intuition were inspired by the tarot and astrology, and these main basic 4 segments of the psyche. And the swords represent thinking. And so I think of INTPs as like they have their sword and they're always refining it, and they just want to play. They just want to be better. They want to sharpen their sword. And if you can view an INTP as just someone wanting to sharpen their sword, then you can go at it with them. You can sharpen your sword with them without taking offense to it. So I guess really what I want to say here is, INTPs, I appreciate you for being willing to think bigger, being willing to be yourself, being willing to sharpen your sword, being willing to constantly refine and update your ideas as new information comes in. And also, you challenge others to be better, whether you know it or not, because just your existence causes people to either feel cognitive dissonance within themselves, or you cause people to critically think. So I don't know if INTPs are aware of their extroverted feeling impact, how you, just being you, impacts the world around you. But I want to tell you that because you are a person that is sharpening your sword, it is impossible for people around you to not be influenced by that. And even if they huff and puff and walk away from the conversation, they still are thinking about what you said, and they're still thinking about what they think in relation to what you said. And ultimately, INTPs, I know that you want to live in a world where everybody is thinking for themselves, and I know that you want to live in a world where people are smarter and people are taking responsibility for their own, like living in integrity with their philosophy, and also taking responsibility for thinking correctly. Because when people let their emotions take over, then there could be so much unnecessary drama and so many inefficiencies that don't need to be there. And INTPs are catalysts for a better world where people are critically thinking and people are opening up their minds. And so, whereas a lot of INTPs, you might not even see the fruits of your labor because you might feel disconnected and isolated, I just want to say that all IP types, if your dominant function is an introverted judging function, then you are naturally a lot more focused on what makes you different than what makes you similar. Whereas for me as an ENFJ, it's super easy for me to, when I meet a new person, recognize how we relate, and then I can focus on what's different about us later. But how we relate is what I focus on in order to create the bridge of connection between the two of us. So I just want to say that if you are an INTP, you might feel disconnected because you're focused on how you're different, and you're focused on all of the ways that your unique perspective can clash with others around you. But I just want you to know that you are like this beautiful gem, diamond, that is always cutting off. It's like an ever-evolving cutting off pieces of yourself. The way that you think is beautiful and necessary and impacts everybody around you, whether you like it or not, and whether you see it or not, and whether your emotions are up to par, whether you said something. I'm sure there's been times when you've said something where you could have said it in a nicer way. I want you to know that there is an emotional value there still that is a direct result of the way that you are and what your being is. The way your being is refines everybody around you and makes the world better. So thank you, INTPs, for being you. And if you are not sure your personality type, I do offer typing services. That is linked below. I offer one-on-one consulting. You can ask me any questions about type and the functions, or you can get a coaching session with me where we go into your shadow functions and integrate your mind. So that is linked below. Thank you, INTPs, for watching, and subscribe if you want to know more about the 16 cognitive type patterns and the 8 cognitive functions.